Hey, and welcome back to Game Talk. I'm your host, Ahmed Beyond. Today I'm joined by Connor.
Hey, guys.
And Mike.
Hello.
And today our topic is streamers. So we've talked about streaming before in the past, but I think we want to focus more on actual streamers, individual streamers, kind of what streamers we're into. I know, Mike, you're a streamer. Maybe you have some firsthand experience you could talk about here, but the topic of the day is streamers. So where do you guys want to start?
Let's just say the ones we watch, I guess, to start off. The big two that I watch are Northernlion and Small Ant.
Yeah, Small Ant, I enjoy his content a lot, but I don't think I've ever watched one of his streams. I always catch like his YouTube content.
I watch a lot more of him on YouTube. I watch his VODs on YouTube a lot. He actually often doesn't start streaming until I'm off work, and I really only have streams on in the background while I'm working, so I don't end up watching him live that much.
That's largely the same for me. Streaming has become such a boon for me when I'm working, is just to have something on in the background. It really kind of saves my day almost from becoming really mind-numbing.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't doing that for the longest time. I really only started doing that maybe 3 years ago when I discovered Northernlion. But prior to that, I don't know what I did. I guess I watched YouTube or listened to music or whatever, or just did nothing, streaming's just been huge, just to have something on in the background, take my mind off of work, which maybe sounds kind of ridiculous because you're supposed to be working, but it really helps my productivity, having something to just fall back on, relax a little bit, and then get back into whatever I'm doing.
I have a hard time focusing just sitting in a quiet room. I look to do something, whereas if there's just something I can look at for a second and recenter. Yeah,
and plus, like I said, so my streamers, I only watch two right now. So one is Northernlion, and the other one is very recently I started watching Dan Gheesling. And I'm very much entertained by both of them. They're definitely kind of on the older side as far as streamers go. But the brilliant thing about them is they only stream basically during working hours, because they know who their target audience is, right? They're not really targeting kids. They're not really targeting younger gamers. They're targeting, I guess, a very specific niche, professionals who basically have the ability to work from a computer and have them up on another monitor. That is their target audience, and they know it, and they're kind of thriving in that niche.
I've heard Northernlion at least joke about being a second monitor stream.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing with Dan. There's often a joke where, if he's not doing anything interesting, the people in chat tell him he's going on the second or third monitor. So
I don't have two monitors anymore. I'm usually doing it picture in picture, but yeah.
I'm actually the same way. I'm always I'm a one monitor guy now. It's funny because earlier, I think at my peak, I was at 4 monitors or something, and and that was in office though. That was I never had that set up at home. But ever since COVID happened and work from home became way more prevalent, just the one monitor, and it's enough for me, I find.
My setup is maybe a little psychotic because it is one ultra wide OLED, which is not very good for work. You can burn in, but I'm not somebody who can look at a window for that long anyway without messing with stuff. So it hasn't happened yet. But what I do is I typically, it has a picture-in-picture mode, so I have to use my work laptop plugged into my monitor, and then I do picture-in-picture to have a tiny window of my desktop that I own playing a stream, and I bounce it between corners. I have a hotkey to do that.
Oh,
and I just
okay.
try
That's
to move
probably
it every
a good
once
idea.
in a while to prevent burn-in and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. You've got to think somehow the OLED monitors have to have some built-in burn-in protection.
They
just
do,
because
yeah.
They're a monitor. It's kind of given that they'll be handling static images for a long time. So you'd hope that most OLED monitors have that built in, but
yeah. And it's an ultra wide, so I don't have room on my desk for a second monitor anymore. It would be very cluttered.
Right. Yeah. So mine's not an ultra wide, and yet I only still have one monitor. But I actually, what I end up doing, so my laptop, and I guess we're just talking about our work setups now.
Yeah.
But my laptop and my monitor are basically only used for work. And I actually, my Samsung tablet, you've seen it, Connor. It's like a nice OLED,
I have a similar,
large tablet.
Yeah.
I have it set up on the side with either Dan Gheesling or Northernlion.
I need to get a stand. I could do that as well. That's a good idea. I also frequently work from the couch on my laptop and have streamers. Actually, we talked about this to get us back on topic. You don't like to put YouTube or streamers on your TV.
I sometimes do, but in general, no. Like, when I'm working, then I'm more open to it. Yeah. But I'm never going to just sit down and watch YouTube on my TV for entertainment. That's not...
The vast majority of my YouTube and Twitch viewing is on my television. It's just... Yeah. It's what I do.
What I will tell you, though, when I religiously watch Twitch on my TV is when there's a tournament that I'm interested in. Specifically, I watch Super Smash Bros. Melee tournaments. That's like the game to me, When I turn that on, big screen, I probably order a pizza or something, and I just really enjoy that.
See, I've never done that. I've never been excited enough for a stream to prepare for it in any way. It's just, they're doing this, I'll have that on.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess since I'm not really into traditional sports, that's the closest analog I have.
Yeah.
Like getting into a sporting event. But yeah, I've done that for Melee, and this might come as a shock to you two, but every year when the LCS finals happen, the League of Legends finals, I find myself getting sucked into that too. Because like you all know, my cousin's like really into League, and he's really good at League, and he's kind of had me watch these streams before, and I kind of get invested in these storylines going into the finals. But I'm very much a fair-weathered League fan, where I only watch basically the semifinals and the finals every year of the LCS, and nothing else. But what I will say from watching those, and I don't know if you've seen them, Mike, but maybe you can back this up, the production value is just obscene.
That's me, but with the Dota International. I don't follow Dota esports, but once a year I sit back and watch the International.
But it's crazy that it's a reminder to me every year that there's this whole gigantic sector of gaming that we basically don't even cross paths with ever. And it's just, it's huge. There's millions and millions of dollars behind it. There's millions of people, fans behind it. The production values are insane. Like, just to give you an idea, right? Going into the finals, whatever two teams are in the finals, they're usually a Korean team, or two Korean teams, a Korean team and a Chinese team. The East Asians have got League figured out way better than the rest of the world, but they have these custom trailers for individual matches with insane CGI effects that look really good. They don't look cheap or budget. They have music videos, actual artists record songs just for these finals. Like, multiple times they've had Imagine Dragons create a song for League of Legends. It's just it's mind-boggling to me as someone who only rarely interacts with this world, how huge it is. And then you get on Twitch and you look at these finals, and there's hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people on the stream watching, and you're like, wow, this really is on a scale that...
Yeah, the categories. Keep that in.
Connor's cat disagreeing with me heavily here, but it's on a scale that it's on a scale that's really hard to imagine.
I have never watched any of those, but you did remind me of a content format I do like, which is like the stupid tournaments that people put on. Or maybe that's not a fair way to categorize it, but Ludwig is the one I know, the streamer who likes to put on he just did Fast 50, which was more serious. It was a speedrunning event. But he'll do like a silly matchup against other streamers where they'll like speedrun. I think he might have been the one that organized the Super Mario 64 runs for a while that everybody was into. I can't remember. I loved that when there was like a big site-wide race between a bunch of streamers for Super Mario 64 16-star. I saw Small Ant participate in a Super Mario Strikers, the soccer game, on Switch. And that was fun to watch because he'd literally never played the game until 2 hours before the event. And stuff like that I think is really fun to watch.
Yeah, Ludwig's an interesting one where he's another one where I basically only watch some of his YouTube videos and never watch his streams. But he really is in a kind of unique position where he's wealthy enough to really finance a lot of things that otherwise wouldn't get the spotlight, right? Because I think he started a yearly Melee tournament called Ludwig Ogren's, because he loves Melee, Smash event or something like that, right? And he puts up a significant prize pool of, I think it's around 40 or 50K.
Wow.
And that's enough to attract all the big names in Melee. And it is one of the super major events of the year. Totally started by him. And he's done this sort of thing for stuff he's interested in. And I haven't really seen other Twitch streamers, go into that world where they are successful enough to really fund events that in turn get more eyes on them and get more eyes on games that normally don't have that level of funding or audience.
Well, Cutie Cinderella certainly has, but I don't know. It's kind of messy to step in because she's dating Ludwig, but she puts together the streamer awards, and that is her. I think that's all her. I don't think he does much for it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really follow it. I didn't watch, but
I think there's also something to be said that, like, once you're a big enough streamer, there's not a lot that can sink you.
Yeah.
Speaking of my hot takes, Dr. Disrespect is one of them. How that man has supporters at this point in time, why?
I don't think that's a hot take.
Well, I think he got banned from Twitch, right? Or is he
banned
back
from
on
Twitch? I don't even think he's on
Twitch.
Kick anymore.
He was banned from Twitch a while ago.
Because he's a pedophile.
Yeah, because of the whole allegation, and he's gotten demonetized from YouTube, so he might not be able to stick.
Yeah, so I feel like you can, even if you're really, because he was humongous. He had a huge following.
Don't give him a someone will give him a platform because of all his supporters who still believe in him for some reason.
Yeah.
But
that's just people still listen to Chris Brown. There's nothing you can do that is going to make everyone abandon you.
Right, but the thing is, Twitch, there are a lot of other platforms. I mean, obviously YouTube being the other biggest one for streaming, but Twitch is the platform for streaming.
Kick looked like it for a little bit, but Kick's just devolved into a platform that just full of grifters and people being controversial and then not paying off because they don't have an audience to be controversial with in the first place.
I'm interested in YouTube's foray into streaming. A lot of... Like, Ludwig streams on YouTube now. I don't know that he streams on Twitch at all.
Well, there was that whole thing where YouTube was paying big streamers insane amounts of money to basically exclusively stream on YouTube. And there's sort of big push to fight Twitch for, I guess, dominance in that market.
And in the same, Twitch has stopped paying for exclusivity. They don't do that anymore. It's not in the contracts much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I distinctly remember Ninja several years ago. He accepted a deal. Remember Microsoft's streaming service? Remember what that was before
Mixer.
They killed it? Mixer. Yeah. He accepted this insane multi-tens of million, I think, dollar deal to exclusively stream on Mixer. Yeah. And he did. Then Mixer shut down. He went back to Twitch and he kept the money, which is just the most insane robbery I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, congrats to him, but... Just, I mean, what?
But he
what a fortune
lose pretty much all of his audience. Like, Ninja's not as big as he was before he left Twitch.
No, he still ruins every season of Fortnite, personally. But
yeah, he like whines a lot, right?
Yeah, but he's a crybaby.
He was very much a flash in the pan, I guess, in terms of longevity. Like, he was big for a couple years there, but I mean, those couple of years made him enough money to be set for several lifetimes.
If he's not an idiot, which he is, as far as we can tell. Money with streamers is fascinating too to me. There was a leak not that long ago that you could see how much these guys were making. And it's interesting to see the different lifestyles that they live. Because some of the streamers I watch were like, yeah, I make a lot of money and I live like I don't. And I will never have to work a day for the rest of my life. Yeah. And then some of them that are raking in 800,000, $1 million a year or something. And they're paycheck to paycheck because they're stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a problem in content creators at the moment.
That's
some of them
not at the moment.
Smart.
It's always been that
there.
way.
Like, some of them are smart. Some of them are living well within their means, and they're not like flexing the fact that they make $80,000 a year or plus, and buying like a new Maserati to show off on stream, and they're just living like they lived before they reached this level of like notoriety. And then you have the ones who are dumping so much money into fancy cars and loft penthouses.
It's the rockstar problem.
Yeah. And to the point where they're bankrupt, so they have to keep creating content and keep producing more and more, and then they burn themselves out. And then like they see an easy out from content creation and they try it, and then that loses them even more audience and clout. So they just have to be like a controversial for it. I've seen it happen to so many.
Yeah, but I think actually Ninja I think is a good example where, say what you will about his attitude, I think he was smart financially because he, like a lot of streamers, saw that, okay, this is my turn in the spotlight. I'm going to make as much use of it as I can while I can, because if you're smart on this platform, you realize that it's very ephemeral, right? It's not a very stable career. If you hit it big, you're going to be big for X amount of time, and you don't know what X is. So you optimize that time as much as you can so that when the spotlight is then off you, you're good to go, right?
Right.
And I think that's what people like Northernlion and Dan Gheesling are doing, right? Northernlion and Dan Gheesling, they have families. They are streaming basically every day. I mean, Northernlion takes more time off than I'd like, but they're making the money now so they can be set in the future, because this is a very fickle kind of profession.
Granted, Northernlion's been doing it for over 10 years now.
He has, yeah. Which is crazy. He's grown very, I guess, slowly and organically, which is not really the
typical
norm for a lot of streamers. They sort of blow up very quickly. But so maybe his situation is different, where the audience he's built is really probably going to stick with him and not go anywhere because he's been cultivating it for so long.
Not me. Not unless he starts playing video games again.
What is he playing? He's playing in that NES World Championship.
Oh, yeah. I do
still?
like those. Yeah. That one's fun.
Well, I guess now that we're on the topic of Northernlion, I will say the biggest thing to me is his bantering is just untouchable. No one does it quite like him. His ability to have a conversation and just be inadvertently hilarious is just it's incredible to me. I mean, he can make anything funny, in my opinion. And granted, maybe it's more catered to just my specific style of humor.
No, he's very funny.
But he's a very, very funny guy, to me at least.
Yeah, extremely funny. He's one of the guys. There are a few. There are streamers that are big that I think got there with luck, but I think Northernlion could do it again. He had a strategy, and it took him 10 years to get as big as he is now. He wasn't a flash in the pan. He had a strategy. He was consistent. He was uploading an Isaac run every single day for 10 years. Small Ant's the same way. And he said it before. He streamed to nobody for 2 years, and then he figured out his strategy. And from there, he blew up very quickly once he knew what to do. He figured it out.
Right. It very much is a thing of where, I mean, you basically have to be streaming to nobody for the longest time until suddenly you're not. You know, you really have to love it. You really have to be consistent. I think that's the biggest key.
Yeah,
just be consistent with it until you grow.
Having a consistent schedule is important to me. I follow a few streamers that I like to tune into, but they're like, yeah, join my Discord, and they send out a notification an hour before they're going to go live, and you never know when it's going to be. And it's like, I did enjoy this, but no, I'm not going to drop whatever I was doing to hang out for your stream where you spend 2.5 hours talking before you even turn the game on. And then you play a game for 35 minutes and then go to bed or whatever.
I mean, it's a very similar thing to this podcast, actually, in that I think the key to success, long-term success, is you have to become part of people's routines.
Yeah.
So I wake up in the morning, I do my stand-up meeting, and then a few minutes after that, I know Dan Gheesling is going to go live. And I'm like, okay, I'll check that out. And I'll talk about what he's playing here in a minute, because that's so entertaining to me. But watch Dan Gheesling, basically watch him until he goes offline or starts playing something I'm not interested in, then switch over to Northernlion. And that gets me through the rest of my day. And it's just, that's just become part of my daily, weekday routine now, as long as I'm working from home and I don't have to go into the office. But it's become reliable, and it's an important part of my day. And so much so that I am subbed to both of them. And I never thought I'd find myself in the position of paying a streamer each month, but here I am subbed to 2 of them.
I sub once a month, and that's because you get one free with Amazon Prime.
Right, my Prime sub goes to NL, and then very recently I just bought a monthly subscription for Dan Gheesling as well.
I've been thinking about getting Twitch Nitro that they just brought back, where you have no ads no matter who you're watching.
Yeah, Twitch Turbo.
Turbo, thank you. And it's like $15 a month.
What's the pricing?
I think
15 a month. Yeah, I mean, I guess
if you watch 3 streamers, it can come out on top. Yeah.
So I guess economically that doesn't make sense for me yet because I've only watched 2 streamers. But
yeah, and anytime somebody streams on YouTube, I'll watch there because I pay for YouTube Premium because I watch a degenerate amount of YouTube.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I think that's almost everyone at this point, right?
No, you don't want to see these numbers, dude. I will actually bring them up because I'm not that embarrassed. I have it right in front of me. But it's over 40 hours a week of YouTube videos I watch.
I mean, I honestly don't think that's too unusual. In this day and age, I think everyone watches a lot of YouTube.
Maybe.
But
more,
yeah, I don't know.
More than they work, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you have YouTube on while you work...
Yeah, I do, and that's where most of it, and while I sleep, and while I...
Right, you fall asleep to YouTube, which is just bizarre.
Or Twitch,
depending. I don't really understand. But
nobody's...
apparently that's a thing people do.
It's very common.
I do it.
Yeah. Okay, you do it too. Yeah, maybe I'm the weird one, but I just...
Yeah, those hour-long plus video essays are so nice to fall asleep to.
Dude, when a new Summoning Salt video comes out, I know I'm sleeping good that night.
Good sleep.
I get so excited.
But don't you want to actually watch it?
I often do actually watch it the next day. But
so you end up watching it twice.
The first watch, I usually fall asleep to it.
That's insane, man.
Yeah.
Wild. Just
actually,
wild.
Sometimes I'll just fall asleep to it a few nights in a row and get a little farther each time. I'll fast forward until I don't recognize something.
I mean, those videos in particular are very good at putting you in a zen-like
so soothing.
state.
Yeah.
Yeah. That music, too. I think that music's open source as well, which is just crazy because it's so good.
It's so
I think he makes
good.
his own, right?
No, he doesn't. Because I've seen it in other videos that are like...
I have heard it in other videos, yeah.
I don't believe he makes it. He might now, but his earlier stuff... I can't find the numbers, so never mind. I'm not going to bring this up. But it's a lot.
I know. I believe it. But yeah, so Dan Gheesling, the other big streamer I watch, he is presently in the middle of an Elden Ring DLC playthrough with 0 vigor, so he has no health, and he's not finding any of the Shadow Tree fragments, so he's not leveling up his attacking power or health that way either. So it's very much a challenge run, but the thing is, Dan Gheesling is not good at video games, which makes it even more entertaining, right? He's, as he says, right, he's average to below average at games, and I would agree with that assessment. And for someone to be kind of below average at games, doing an extremely difficult challenge run on an extremely difficult game, it's just the content.
Funny, yeah.
The content writes itself, right? And most recently, he was fighting Mesmer, right, one of the main bosses in Elden Ring, and he was fighting Mesmer for I think 15 days. 15 days of fighting Mesmer, and in that amount of time, so many memes got made. There was this AI-generated song one of his subscribers made about the fight, and it was really, really good and hilarious. And he just played that over and over again. And it was so much fun to watch. It was so much fun to listen to that. It was so much fun to go through and see the evolution of all of the jokes and memes as he was progressing through the Mesmer fight. And yeah, I mean, and that was just one fight. I can only imagine when he gets to the final boss of this DLC, how long that might take him. If he even does it at all. I mean, because as we know, as we've talked about on this show before, the final boss of the Elden Ring DLC is just something else in terms of difficulty. So yeah, so that's Dan Gheesling. I'm very much looking forward to continuing to watch him, quite frankly, even after Elden Ring is finished, because he talked about doing a Dark Souls no health run afterwards, and that's something I'm really interested in. And I think he's really found that these sort of challenge runs are a niche for him to really exploit and reach more people, because prior to this, I knew of Dan Gheesling, but I only checked him out here and there. I wasn't a dedicated viewer, but the Elden Ring stuff really pulled me in, and it made me a fan.
He's famous before he was a streamer, right? Wasn't he on Big Brother or something?
Yeah, he was on a TV show. He has a very interesting past, but yeah, I mean, I think he's significantly older than NL. I think he's 40 or 41 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He's got 3 kids, so he's very much an adult,
Yeah.
foraying into video games, which is cool.
Those challenge runs tend to do really well. Like that's some of my favorite Small Ant content too. Is he'll do, can I beat Super Mario Odyssey with no jumps or with never getting a coin or whatever? And like the answer is typically he's not the first one to do it. Typically someone's done it before he gets to it. He's not. Minimum captures was something he was on the forefront of, though. I think he had the world record for that at one point in Super Mario Odyssey.
Also, I think Small Ant is freakishly good at video games, right? Is that fair to say? Yeah. So that's entertaining in a different way, because I'm like, wow, this guy's so good at games and he's doing such interesting runs, doing such interesting content. With Dan, it's completely different, where it's funny content and he's bad at it, which makes it even funnier.
Yeah. No, I do like watching a streamer with average video game skills more a lot of the time than I do somebody who's insane. But how long can you do something for 8 hours a day and still be bad at it if you're not a legend like Dan Gheesling?
Right. So coming to Dan's defense a little bit, right? He didn't only play Elden Ring every day. He had other segments, sponsored segments, whatever. And he's the type of streamer to be interacting with chat the whole time, unlike NL, who basically just ignores his chat for large swaths at a time.
Yeah.
Dan Giesling's always talking to chat, so he's always got his focus sort of split. And in a game like Elden Ring, especially when you're doing a challenge run where one hit could end you, that's a recipe for disaster. So he has chat almost always yelling at him to lock in and stop horsing around. And so then he does that, and then he gets a couple good runs in, then he gets distracted by chat again, and then like the cycle repeats itself. So
it's really funny.
I do really believe that he would do a lot better if he just ignored chat, but that wouldn't make for the best content.
Bad content.
Yeah,
so,
it'd be bad content.
Donkey doesn't talk to chat at all when he streams.
Oh, at all.
Which is
that's the funniest
in itself
thing.
is really funny.
He doesn't acknowledge them even once. I don't think I've ever even seen one acknowledgement, which is hilarious. He's getting donations, he's getting subscribers, not one iota of acknowledgement, which is so based.
The other side of that, it is my biggest pet peeve, is like constant stream notifications. Like the guys that get popular but never dial back the notifications. So annoying. If you're getting a sub every 2 minutes, I don't want to hear about it. I'm just trying to enjoy the stream.
Yeah, I like NL's solution to that, where it's an audio-less notification, where it's just sort of a quick visual cue.
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
There's no audio. I think that's an elegant solution to that problem.
And like thank them in a batch or something. I like Pirate Software's solution. I forgot to mention, I watch him sometimes. I don't watch any of his... He does game development, but I tend to watch him play video games. I just think he's a cool dude. Thor? Yeah, that's his name. His name is Thor. But he has a cool setup where he has like a queue of notifications, and he plays them when nothing else is going on.
Yeah.
That's a lot better. I watched Brian David Gilbert play through Outer Wilds, and it was like every 30 seconds or something, a sound effect was playing or something. It was so annoying.
Yeah. It really takes you out of it. Which,
like,
I guess it's okay,
people.
Right?
Yeah.
It's weird, because it really is background noise for most people, including myself, but I still don't want to constantly be hearing pings go off.
Right,
It kind of ruins the experience.
It's bad enough I'm hearing my team's notifications going off all day at work.
I know, right?
That one gets on my nerves. And another in the similar vein, I watched this guy, Dean Dobbs. You guys might have heard of him. He used to be part of comedy duo Jack and Dean on YouTube. And he streamed games for a while during COVID stuff when he couldn't work somewhere else. And he was doing a playthrough of Breath of the Wild, which is a really important game to him. And like, I like it. It's a really good game. But he had like these sound effects you could trigger with channel points, and somebody did it during the conclusion of the game, which was like a really emotional moment for him. And he just got so mad at chat, and it wasn't funny. It was actually like, he was genuinely upset.
That's funny.
I'm just sitting there like, man, you're getting paid for this. Like, you don't.
You're getting paid for this, and also you know what you signed up for. If you're going to stream yourself playing this video game that has personal significance to you, you're commercializing it. So
could have turned off the notifications.
I know it's kind of your own fault. So I don't really have sympathy there.
No, me neither. He just killed the vibe for no reason.
But yeah, just to go back to Dan Gheesling really quick, because I guess I'm really into his streams at the moment. But he has like a soundboard with rotating sound effects that he cooks in on occasion, and they're really funny. And a lot of them are very wrestling focused. He's a big wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And all these weird ingredients come together to create such a unique stream, because on the 15th day of fighting Mesmer, before the stream started, he put together this hype promo reel / music video of all the big moments leading up to like this fight. And I was just like, this is genuinely really well done. And it is somehow actually getting me hyped for this.
To watch him get wrecked for 8 hours
to watch him get annihilated again.
Did he beat it that day?
He did beat it that day, which was... Okay. And he wasn't even expecting to. He said, I was expecting to do this Monday. And there were even days where he was just like, guys, I told my wife I'm not going to stop streaming until I beat Mesmer today. And he tried, and it just got so late. He was just like, guys, I have to like get off and take care of my kids now. I'm sorry I failed and stuff. And he would impose all these like restrictions and consequences on himself for failing. But all that plays into the story, right? Him being a huge fan of wrestling, he knows how to tell a good story. So the arc of him fighting Mesmer, it had these like story beats and really funny moments and memes and stuff, and that's really cool. And what he does, another cool, unique thing he does that I haven't really seen done before, is that when there's a big moment on stream, like him beating Mesmer, he allows people to be part of it. He creates what's called like a banana slice. I don't really know what that means, but you get your name associated with that moment, your Twitch name, and you can go on Dan's website and see how many banana slices you have to see kind of what big moments of the channel you were part of.
Apparently there used to be some Twitch integration for that, and they took it away.
Yeah, so he just has like his own website where he does all that stuff now. So it's really cool. He's a very quirky guy. He does all these kind of unique things that make him a unique streamer, so big fan. But Mike, I think we need to hear from you, right? As the only streamer really of the group.
The only consistent one, sure.
Yeah, I don't even consistently stream. What do you mean?
I was just going to say, you've got like a full-time job and you stream, and I imagine it must be tough to kind of find time to do that.
It's super hard to stream when you're not, like, full-on content creation is something that I'm closer to than ever, but at the same time, like, my expenses are super low to the point where theoretically, if I get just the minimum amount of income, I could be fine.
Okay.
But
getting from zero to that minimum is,
that's like, the worst
I feel like
part.
Getting from zero to some is way harder than getting from some to a lot. Like that.
It definitely seems that way to me. Yeah,
it's getting past that first hump of Twitch streaming is the hardest part. It's a part that everyone talks about, and everyone has these questions of how do you get viewers as a Twitch streamer. You don't.
Yeah, I've always heard you have to be on YouTube as well, like with videos or some other. And I kind of feel that way about this show for us too. We need some other thing that is bringing people to the main thing, which is your stream.
To be big on a platform, that's a lot of work. It's not just, if I just press this live button every day, I'll eventually get an audience. You could be streaming 6 hours a day every day for 4 years.
You got to be posting clips.
You'll still be going to no one. Like, no one's going to find you.
Twitch discoverability is non-existent.
Yeah, it's been garbage. It's perpetually garbage. And it's not even Twitch's fault at this point. Getting more than 3 viewers, I believe, puts you in the top 1% of streamers. Like, 10 viewers, that's top 1%, if I'm correct.
Okay, we've had that before for Extra Life. We've been in the 15 to 30 range.
15 to 30 range, that's top 1% of Twitch.
Yeah, right.
Having
that's
that consistently.
Well, we do consistently once a year.
What? Right, yeah.
I don't know. I don't pull that. I pull sometimes close to those numbers during Extra Life, but that's a big event.
Okay. But yeah, I'm talking back when we had the club, the whole game developers club.
The club Extra Life. It's a dream that if you got in early, you had a way easier time of just hitting that go live button.
Right.
But if you didn't get big back when you could just hit go live and get big and famous, then it's over. Pretty much. You have to put more work into it than the person before you. And that's the crux of streaming and content creation, is if you don't put more work in than the person who did it before you, then you're just going to fall behind.
It's also such a weird situation. At least this is my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. But most of the advice from the people that are big now isn't that useful because the way you get big changes so frequently. It's such a constantly changing ecosystem.
And a lot of big streamers know this. They they know that their advice they know their advice is pretty much worthless. So their only advice is you just got to keep going at it and get lucky someday. They can't give you advice because what worked for them isn't going to work for you because it's super personalized with how content creation grows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine it's a strange combination of maybe you go viral from a clip, you have to increase your discoverability, maybe you're playing a specific game at a certain time when it's popular and that gets eyes on you. Yeah. Or maybe you're good at a very specific niche that not a lot of people are doing and that gets eyes on you. I feel like there's a lot of avenues, but all the avenues are very, very, very difficult
you gotta understand social media too.
You have to be very savvy with trends and be on top of things and understand social media. You got to know how to edit clips.
Understand the algorithms.
Yeah, understand the algorithms. There's a reason that nowadays you don't really see people grow overnight into sensations anymore. That's because the gap's closing.
Yeah.
Content that was popular 5 years ago is no longer popular. Right now, video essays are all the rage on YouTube, and those require a lot more effort than 30-minute Let's Play videos that were popular 6-7 years ago.
Well, right. I feel like it's extremes, right? It's either a 3-hour video essay or a 10-second clip, and there's really no in between.
Right now, on most platforms, people want either long-form content, so your 3+ hour videos, 1 to 3 hours, or they want short, attention-seeking, like Zoomer-level ADHD clips.
TikTok, YouTube
like
short stuff.
There's no in between. There's a market for both of them. Because sometimes you want to sit there and drone out to someone rant about, I don't know, a video game for 3 hours like we do. And sometimes you want us in 10-second intervals.
Yeah. Pirate Software made it big by being like the YouTube Shorts guy. Everyone has seen his YouTube Shorts.
Everyone's seen a Pirate Software short.
Shorts were relatively new, and he just inundated it with content that is of pretty good quality, I'd add. But he's posting... he slowed down, I think, but he was posting 1 million of those things.
Yeah, YouTube Shorts are still a fantastic way to grow because that can link right back into your content.
Yeah.
Honestly, at this point, growth is centered around your short content and not TikTok, because TikTok's notoriously hard to transfer growth off of.
Very difficult to transfer. Getting someone off of TikTok, even as their friend, is very difficult to do.
Like, putting something on YouTube, though, that's an easy jump. Like, oh, watch me on Twitch, you can see more of this. And then people will be like, oh, I like Pirate Software. He says very good things. I'm going to go watch a full stream of him where he says these very good things for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And... boom, you've achieved a viewer, and they might come back. They might tell their friends, like, hey, Pirate Software is really good. Why not watch him? And then suddenly it's exponential at that point.
Right.
Yeah, and this really is sort of meta commentary on this show, too. We need to do all these things. We need to get on YouTube. I think that's the next big
I think we need more friends is what we need.
And more friends?
Yeah, we need more friends.
I'm talking about growth-wise. I think YouTube, like you said, is the next logical thing, and
sure.
I think the rate of conversion on YouTube is going to be much higher than other platforms.
Yeah, so. YouTube Shorts would be a good thing for us.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not that much of an ask to just upload to YouTube Shorts as well for us.
Yeah, I think that's going to be coming relatively soon.
Yeah, we already have the Shorts content. We just don't post it on YouTube. Right. I was going to suggest that a couple of days ago that we put our stuff on YouTube Shorts.
No, that will come very, very soon.
I guarantee you something about Twitch streaming that I said from this episode will end up in a short. So if you're there from a short, this is train of thought. I did not write a script. Don't worry.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. I don't know.
Ring that bell. I'm a natural.
Yeah.
Do we have we don't have a bell yet, right?
On YouTube.
If we're not on YouTube.
We do have a YouTube.
If we're not on YouTube.
We have a YouTube channel.
We have a YouTube. We just don't upload to it.
Yeah. It's just,
there's nothing
there. It's just Amit uploading Dark Souls.
It's just me uploading Elden Ring clips. Because it one day got tied to my PlayStation and I didn't untie it. So
I got recommended one of your boss fights. I don't know why.
Oh, good.
I'm subscribed to the channel, so I saw all of them. I didn't watch them, but I did see that they were there.
they're entirely just there for myself.
Yeah, no, it would
rewatch, which is really funny.
It's content.
I have like several times thought I wanted to do like YouTube video essays or something, but it feels Herculean. So much work. There's so much you have to do.
So much research goes into like a YouTube video.
Learning video editing, even writing a script is something I don't know that I could do.
It's an insane amount of work. Yeah, you really have to be all in on it to do it. I can't imagine doing something like that in your spare time.
Right.
That's why I pay someone to do editing for me.
I certainly couldn't do that and game development, which is the thing I've kind of shackled myself to.
All my drunk movie nights, I have not edited a single drunk movie night in like 2 years.
You've been paying someone?
Yeah, I pay someone to do it because I hate audio editing. I can't do it. I can't sit there and listen to myself babble drunkenly for 2 hours. I can't do it.
Yeah, that's I would hope that eventually we get to that stage too. Actually, my good buddy Dylan, he said, "Hey, do you want me to edit your podcast for you? I'm totally down to do that." And I said, "I would love for that to happen, but I can't hemorrhage more money on this thing.
Yeah,
we need to start making money on it before I delegate these sorts of things."
A lot of content creation is just you hemorrhaging money until you either make money or you suffer. Sorry, the cat was in the back of the camera, and I needed to check which cat it was. But very important. You hemorrhage money. It's the same with esports, same with any kind of like creative venture. You're gonna hemorrhage money, and sometimes you're not gonna make that money back. I've probably hemorrhaged hundreds of dollars towards like streaming and everything.
Yeah.
At least in setup and upgrades that were primarily geared for streaming.
It's all in the effort of making your content better and putting it more places, though. Yeah. So you'd hope that eventually the kind of lines flip and you start seeing that return on investment. But, you know, I mean, it's hard. If it was easy, everyone would do it and everyone would be famous. But that's not the case.
Ain't easy.
So.
It's not easy being a content creator.
No. I mean, I have a friend who, and I really enjoyed her stream. She was a friend from high school. But she got up... She was like consistently getting 100,000 view TikToks, just doing these very simple little Stardew Valley TikToks. And she thought she was going to be able to jump on Twitch, and she didn't break 30 viewers very often. You know,
that's still a lot of viewers.
It was like a ton,
30?
yeah, but
that's a ton.
But the TikTok conversion
not enough
rate,
to make a career off of it.
Yeah, not without really investing further than I think she could at the time.
30 is a good bankroll to start like getting with talent at agencies, though. That's where you can start getting notoriety with agencies that can market you to the stratosphere.
I might have been highballing it. It might have been in the 20s. I don't remember. I remember it wasn't more than that, though. It was and 30 is also like a fun number to be a viewer of a stream in, because at 30 viewers, they're gonna see what you say in chat.
Yeah. Right. And it's not like small enough to feel like nothing's happening.
No,
with 30
it feels
people,
like a community at 30
it's a little
people.
community, yeah.
It's enough people that you might not know everybody there, but you're going to recognize names.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just the thing of, you always hear that the vast majority of YouTube videos have no views. Most of Twitch streams barely have any views or live viewers. It's the case where there's all this, exabytes of content on the internet just sitting untouched.
Yeah.
And you gotta break through that somehow.
I don't know. My YouTube algorithm's been recommending me some really small creators lately, and I just don't understand where they're coming from.
YouTube and Valve as well, this isn't about streamers, but YouTube and Valve have generous algorithms that will show your video to people. You just have to do the work to try to get it to show your video to the right people. And obviously you have to have good content as well. But you have to put in the legwork to get it shown to the right people with your tagging and your thumbnail work and your titling.
The thumbnails are so important.
Very critical. That's why they're all so bad, is because they have to be to get people to click on them.
Everyone making the pog face, everyone putting little arrows everywhere. I can't stand it, but it works.
Yeah, it works.
It gets views. That's all that matters.
Now, what I do like is when someone gets big enough that they have a signature thumbnail that, like without reading anything, I can look at it and know this is this creator because this is how they do their thumbnails. I think Scott the Waz is like that, although He shows his face, so that's not a good example. I'm trying to think of someone else.
I mean, most thumbnails have faces, though.
You recognize a Summoning Salt thumbnail, even without his face in it, though.
Right, yeah. He's got the font and all of that. Yeah.
He has a brand.
Yeah, and that's tough. That's tough to pull off.
It's wild how much you learn about design from doing content creation. Something as simple as the font can make or break your entire setup or design.
Absolutely.
And you just got to imagine, right, when you take that logic and apply it at scale, right, you have these humongous YouTubers that have millions of views that if they see a video is underperforming, they'll switch to an alternate thumbnail and see how that one performs. It's just that the littlest things that you really don't think about if you're not a content creator matter at scale to such a degree that it could be the difference between thousands and thousands of dollars. Which is wild to think about.
Absolutely.
Tangent about content creation, which is fine. I think that was a good discussion. But in terms of streamers, do we want to shout out anyone else before we move on or talk about anything else?
Shout out to Sir Lar, who gaming media person, been in games media for a while and recently retired to just do streaming full time a while ago. But very interesting to get an intake from gaming from like someone who worked in media during the Xbox and 360 years, like the early days of like G4 and everything.
Yeah.
Very interesting because it's a unique take on gaming that they hold that we don't have in modern media.
Awesome.
I've shouted out everybody out.
Yeah, I've shouted out NL and Dan Gheesling. Those are the only ones I watch. So, all right. What have we been playing?
I haven't really been playing anything, but I have been really enjoying the Monster Hunter Wilds trailers. I don't know if either of you guys have seen these, but for 2 weeks, there are 14 weapons in Monster Hunter, and they've been releasing like a minute and a half trailer for each weapon every day.
Right, the slow drip feed of content.
Yeah, it's, right into my veins. I am really... Also... Like, we're seeing some armor sets and stuff that we haven't seen before, and it all looks really, really good. That was one of the biggest criticisms with Monster Hunter World, was a lot of the armor and weapons were kind of bland. A lot of the weapons kind of looked like the default weapons with monster parts slapped onto them instead of something that really matched the monster and had a lot of character, and it looks like Wilds is going to fix that entirely. These weapons look sick.
Yeah, as someone with no real experience with Monster Hunter and watching some of these videos, it just looks really good to me. Yeah, I don't know how else to put it. It looks really polished. It looks like the culmination of several generations of iteration on this idea of Monster Hunter. It seems like the
six generations,
peak of this franchise. So
every new game, every new Monster really Hunter is better than the last. I don't think there's ever been an exception to that. So Wilds is going to be really good.
Yeah. On that note, right, we're talking about trailers. There was another Dragon Ball Sparking Zero trailer that came out today, and it's so funny because these trailers are basically just recapping story arcs that came out multiple decades ago. Yeah. But when I watch them, I get so hype. I don't know why. It's just the Dragon Ball effect, but it just looks so well done. This game is just going to be everything to me as a Dragon Ball fan.
Can't wait to play a game that's not meaningfully different from the version I played 20 years ago of a story that came out 20 years before that.
Right, exactly. but the hype's there. It looks incredible.
No, I can't wait to play it.
The polish on the game, every time they show it, just looks more incredible. It looks fantastic. It plays seemingly fantastic, and it's got all your fan favorite moments in there. It's just, I can't wait.
Yeah.
But in terms of games, right, so I am once again addicted to Slay the Spire. That's all I've been playing. It's funny, I'm here at the beach with my family, and I have to shout out the PlayStation Portal. This thing is just incredible. And I know you were a huge doubter, Connor, about who is this thing for.
I'm not a doubter of remote playing games. I think it is insane to buy a $200 device that doesn't do anything your phone can't do.
That's true, but
and can't do better.
It's selling like crazy. It is every month the top selling video gaming accessory. That's crazy. People want this thing.
People are bad with money.
People want this thing.
Okay, people want this thing. I'm going to point out, I see it on Facebook Marketplace all the time where people are furious because they bought it thinking they could play games on it.
There's certainly going to be a slice of people confused.
Constantly. Like, you can get this thing for $60 on Facebook Marketplace.
Do your research, people. I mean,
yeah.
It's not that hard. But,
or people that thought they could play on it and their PS5 at the same time. Like, all kinds of misconceptions about it.
But people are really into it.
Yeah.
People are buying it, and it works so well for me. So, like I said, I'm here at the beach with my family. Perfect PlayStation Portal, Slay the Spire. That's basically what it's made for, right? It's not a high APM game. It's a strategy game. It's a card game. It works so well on the Portal.
It's a game that has a phone port.
It has a phone port, right? Yeah. But there's just something about playing on that Portal, man, because it basically is just screen sandwiched inside of a DualSense, which is really dumb, but it works so well in that it feels like you're holding an actual DualSense controller. It's got all the haptics and everything. So it feels like a really good experience. The only knock I have against it is that I wish it had an OLED screen. But other than that, this thing is pretty much perfect for portable streaming. And the Wi-Fi here is good enough to where I can play Slay the Spire and I can play other games too. Like, I'm not playing Elden Ring here, but it's good enough to where you can play games pretty consistently. And obviously, the most important factor in this is the upload speed of where your PS5's at. If that's bad, this thing's not going to work for you. But luckily, I'm wired in. I have a high upload speed, so it works like magic basically wherever I go.
And you only need like 15, 20 gigabytes per second. That's high for an upload speed, though. Because typically upload, most people don't need it. It's seen as something that ISPs don't really need to deliver on. But if you have fiber, you're going to have synchronous upload and download. That's what I have, so I have gigabit both ways.
But yeah, so Slay the Spire, I think I've basically only been talking about this for the past couple weeks. Yeah. But I have now progressed far enough into my PlayStation version of this, because remember, I had this on Switch too, to where I've unlocked everything on every character. I have still not cleared the true ending on PlayStation, which just speaks to how difficult it is. I came so close, I think last night or the night before, where I was on this run and everything was going so well. I was playing as the thief class. I had a Shiv build going that was just incredible. And I steamrolled the main game, even steamrolled the final boss, which almost never happens for me. I just completely annihilated him. So I went on to the secret final boss, didn't even get him to half health. Wow. That's how difficult. It can't be overstated enough. The jump in difficulty between the final boss and the secret final boss. You can be cruising through the game, and that boss will just end you unless you are perfect. So that really bummed me out, because I thought, like, this has to be the run. Like, everything was going so well. Even the final boss fell to me in, like, 2 or 3 turns. It was insane.
The roguelike staple.
Got wrecked by the secret final boss. So I have managed to reach that boss many times now, but I've yet to kill him on PlayStation. I think on Switch, I've only killed him once or twice, which again, just crazy that it's that difficult. Or I'm just really bad at the game. I can't tell. But I think I'm getting better at the game. I do think this game has a very, very high skill ceiling. Like, you can study this game endlessly, come up with strategies. Obviously, no 2 runs are exactly the same due to the roguelike nature of the game, but I think the depth in this game is something I still haven't fully grasped, but now definitely appreciate a lot more, having played it so much. And I think this kind of ties into our discussion of streaming a little bit, because I was not playing Slay the Spire really consistently again until Northernlion picked it back up. So watching him pick it back up kind of got me back in the swing of things, where I see him playing it, and I see him playing it very well, by the way, I might add, like, at a level that is way above me presently. But I'm like, this looks really fun. And I go back to Slay the Spire, and I don't usually think that streamers have an impact on what I play, but I found that Northernlion in particular has influenced me a couple times, because I don't think I ever would have played Super Auto Pets without watching Northernlion.
They for sure influenced me. There are games I wouldn't have heard of at all without seeing them on streams and stuff. And that's this ecosystem of video game developers and streamers is still kind of new. in the grand scheme of things. It's been around like 10 years, I guess, but the grand scheme of marketing, kind of new, something people have to get used to, and it's really valuable for indie developers.
Right, yeah, and that's another huge aspect of the whole Twitch thing we didn't even really touch on in our discussion, but having a game market itself through Twitch streamers is really common nowadays. And you're right, it's introduced me to a lot of games I never would have even heard of otherwise. Like right now, I think both NL and Dan Gheesling are playing a Balatro blackjack kind of game.
Yeah, that looks good.
And it looks really interesting. And again, they found the exact right streamers to play this game, and it's getting a lot of eyes on it now. So
yeah.
But yeah, man, Slay the Spire, man, I continue to be impressed by just how incredible that game is. And it's so evergreen too. I just don't get tired of playing it, which is crazy. I think I have around 30 hours now on the PlayStation version, which, keep in mind, prior to, a couple weeks ago, I was only playing on Switch. So who knows how much time I actually have in this game, but it's just it's something like chess, right? Where the more you study it, the more you get into it, the more you learn about it, and the more you have fun with it. At least that's how I feel about it right now. So continuing to enjoy Slay the Spire, and it's pulling me away from everything else. I think it'll take a new game coming out, something like Astrobot or Dragon Ball, to get me back out of Slay the Spire.
Satisfactory is coming soon.
Satisfactory. I think that's
probably
gonna check that out
in
too.
September.
Yeah,
that's probably the first one.
Yeah, that's in September. Really?
It's in September. Yeah, I think 15th, 13th, something like that.
Oh man, yeah. It was coming out around something, right? Because Dragon Ball is in October.
Yeah, Astrobot is in September.
Astrobot is yeah. Shoot, yeah, that's gonna be.
Astrobot's not gonna be long though. Astrobot's gonna be probably.
It's gonna be like 8 to 10 hours probably, which is the perfect length.
Satisfactory is gonna take you like 100 hours to beat probably.
Oh, great!
It's not a short game. It is a short game if you know what you're doing, but you've never played a factory game before, so it's gonna take you a while.
No.
Yeah. Maybe not 100 hours, but it's not gonna be fast.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to finally sinking my teeth into that genre because I've just heard so much about it over the years, and I do think I'd be really into it. All right, Mike, what have you been playing?
There's a time that I talk about how I've gotten back into Warframe again.
I think so.
Yeah, it's about once a year that I talk about Warframe on this podcast.
All the Destiny talk had to get you back into it?
Yeah, well, no, I've been into it for like a month and a half now. So
what's different now?
They're about to launch their 1999 update in winter at some point, where they're taking the game and its mechanics and everything and putting it in a pre-millennium world that they've created.
Like in the past?
Like in the past, yes. They're using, and they have these big name voice actors for all the characters that they're putting in, that are all they're all the Warframes, but they're called proto-frames, I guess. So they have all the abilities, but they're just people in suits, I guess.
Oh, weird.
Oh yeah, it's kind of wild. But
that sounds like a pretty big update, right?
That's all we know about it right now. They've been very tight-lipped about what the update's going to entail, other than it's set in 1999. It has to deal with some time travel that Warframe's been messing around with for a little while now. And they created a whole fictional boy band for it. No, they even have a song. They released a song for the said fictional boy band. That's their dedication to the craft of 1999.
That's funny. Interesting. It's so funny hearing about Warframe and comparing it to Destiny, where it's just like, what are they doing that Bungie isn't? Because
having fun with it.
having fun with it, I guess, but I mean, none of their expansions are paid for, right, Mike? They're all free?
Nothing. They're all free.
Wow. Yeah, so
they just released a new Warframe, I'd say last month, that for the first time was well, that's a spoiler. Spoiler alert if you care about Warframe stories. The new Warframe's pregnant. There's a whole story reason. There's a whole story reason for it. It's very touching. I teared up a little bit. But they
had to be there.
Yeah, you have to play the quest to understand why it was touching. But I had first been announced. They announced this Warframe at PAX, where I was at the panel that they had, and they did all these framing tricks with the key art for the Warframe to prevent us from knowing that she was pregnant until they released the quest. That's their level of dedication to their lore, I guess, or their like reveals and twists.
Interesting. So, is the big thing like you play as this pregnant Warframe? Is that?
Yeah, it is. It's playable. She's really good too. Surprisingly, I'm enjoying playing with her ability set. But at this point, I'm grinding like 5-6-year-old content that I skipped over. And I think that's one of the things that keeps drawing me back to Warframe is that I have 11 years of content to do. And sometimes I don't do it when it comes out. So I end up doing it 5-6 years later. And there's still people grinding that content.
Yeah, because it's still available.
It's still in the game.
Bungie,
Destiny
take notes. Honestly, that might fix all of your problems. Just have all your content there.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous that it's not all there.
Well,
it's like, we're going to pick and choose things from our 10-year history that you're only allowed to play these. Like, what are you doing? It should all be there. Anyway.
For a paid game, it makes sense that you lock off content. Like, Warframe does have its vaulting for its prime relics and everything. Which, if I haven't discussed it, prime weapons are just different varieties of existing weapons. So you have your base gun, and then you have your prime gun. They have different stats, different polarities for modding, and they look different. But the prime version is generally better. So,
but I just want to point out, for Destiny, Bungie has vaulted entire campaigns that were once DLC that people paid for.
And they don't bring that back.
So this content that you once paid for in the past is no longer accessible.
I'd be so mad.
Just
and
wild.
The best part about vaulting primes, what Warframe does, they vault these primes, but if anybody has the components or anything that can be traded, you could go buy it. You could go buy platinum and use it to purchase those relics or those blueprints and make the weapon yourself. It doesn't disappear from the game. It's not locked away. If you have the components in your inventory, you can make it. Doesn't matter if it's vaulted or it just doesn't drop. And then they'll bring it back once or twice a year. They'll bring back a group of primes. So there's a whole economy built around prime weapons where if you don't want to spend money on the game, you could just farm primes, wait till they get vaulted, sell off all those prime components, make a fair bit of platinum, and then you'll be fine. And
then you can spend the platform on
cosmetics, on weapon slots. Platinum's just the premium currency.
Okay.
Other prime parts that you're missing, you can spend it on anything. Rushing construction.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of uses for platinum, and it is very generous with how much platinum you can get from the other people in its trades because they don't care. They don't moderate their platinum economy. The value of the weapons is all based on players and how long it's been vaulted. And it's neat. It's neat to just go say, I want this whole prime. I don't want to grind for it. I'm just going to buy it for 150 platinum, which is, I think, like $1.50 or something.
Well, whatever they're doing, they've figured something out that I think Bungie needs to learn from.
Warframe has done live service in a way that no other company has for some reason. And I don't know why no one's looked at Warframe and thought, man, they're doing something right because they've been around for 11 years.
Well, I think the difference, as far as I can tell, is that Warframe doesn't print money. It's just sustainable.
It is very sustainable. I mean,
that's not what the publishers are interested in.
They had enough money to release a second game. They have another game coming out very soon that's also going to be live service.
Really? I'll have to check that out.
It's medieval themed. It's called Soulframe, I think. They've been revealing
another Frame game.
Yeah,
another Frame type game.
Frame universe.
It looks more similar to like Dark Souls in its combat styling, though. A lot slower than Warframe.
That actually sounds.
I mean, I'll check it out.
You're saying the right words, at least.
Yeah, it looked a lot slower.
Neurons activated.
I've already reserved my name for it. I don't know when they start their alpha test, but I'll probably be in it somewhere. But
awesome.
I'm excited for it. I'm excited for another game from Digital Extremes.
Yeah.
They've not done me wrong yet.
With their one game.
No, they've released several games.
Oh, they have? I only know Warframe.
Digital Extremes was responsible for the first versions of Unreal.
Really?
In collaboration with Epic, yeah.
That's crazy.
They did
I had
Dark
no
Sector,
idea they had such a legacy.
Dark Sector was actually the basis for Warframe 1999. Funny enough, a game they released a decade and a half ago.
That's funny.
Warframe came from that game.
Founded in 1993. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I had
some
no idea.
legacy.
Yeah.
Warframe was just their Hail Mary game because they had been about to go under, so they just work on the last game they can think of, and Warframe was that. And now the company's thriving.
Wow.
Good for them.
That's interesting. Yeah, I had no idea.
Speaking of thriving, I just want to mention it on the show. Hi-Fi Rush is back.
Yeah.
What a strange turn of events where I've never seen anything like that happen before, and I had to think through, like, what are the logistics of that? Did they just go through and
they just went back and hired everybody back?
Every developer on that team?
And somehow they got the IP rights to Hi-Fi Rush.
That's the other thing, too. Typically, when a purchase happens, the publisher owns the IP. So Microsoft should have owned the Hi-Fi Rush IP, but I guess maybe something in their contract allowed them to get out of that. But it seems like the best case scenario where that franchise is back, Tango lives again in another form.
Yeah.
So
we'll see if that happens with anyone else. I'd love to see it happen. I kind of find it unlikely. This wasn't on my radar at all.
Yeah, this is kind of a very unique. At least I haven't heard of something like this happening before. So.
No.
Fascinating. All right. I think with that, we're going to wrap up here. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we close the show?
No.
All right. With that being said, thank you all for listening. You can follow us at Podcast Game Talk on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Like, rate, and review us on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, or any other podcast services you use. Click the link in the description, join our Discord, and talk to us there. Thank you, Connor and Mike.
Yeah, see you guys next week.
See you next week. Bye.